We've all been waiting for it, the Silverado. I've been asking you about it. You finally announced it. So I guess my questions are, when can we get it, and how fast are you going to be producing them?
Well, we're going to bring them to market as quickly as we can. We anticipate that we'll start with the work truck variant, and that will be available in spring of next year. And then in the fall, we'll have the RST, and we're going to work to get them to customers as quickly as we can. And the reception, I have to tell you, David, has been great. The first edition of the RST sold out in 12 minutes, and reservations are still coming in. So we're super excited about the response that we're getting, because this is a ground up EV truck that has so much capability. We're so excited to share it with the world.
So, Mary, congratulations on all the people ordering already. There's the demand there. At the same time, as you know so well, you're a year or so behind where Ford is with the F-150. How are you going to catch up? And maybe as important, is it important for General Motors to catch up with Ford when it comes to the full-size pickup?
Well, David, when you look at the EV race, we've already had the Bolt out for several years, and now the Bolt EUV. We're shipping Hummers right as we speak. The Cadillac Lyriq will be out in just a couple months, and then early next year, we're going to have not only the Silverado, but we're going to have next year the Chevrolet Blazer EV, EUV, or SUV, as well as the Equinox. So I am so excited about all the electric vehicles that we have coming, and that's why I'm so confident by mid-decade, we will be the leader in EVs with the battery plants we have, with the assembly plants that we're putting in place, and with the models and the volume segments of the market. We are going for total leadership here.
Mary, with regards to the accessibility of some of these vehicles, not just the vehicles that GM makes, but a lot of your competitors, these are still relatively expensive vehicles that could sometimes cost $50,000, $60,000 or more once you get them fully loaded here. When do we get to a point where we see a little bit more price accessibility so that we see a little bit broader adoption of EVs?
Well, I think that's why it's so important that we've got the Chevrolet Equinox EV coming out, because it is so important to get, to your point, into that affordable part of the market. The $30,000 to $40,000 is a huge volume segment, and that's exactly where we're targeting the Equinox, and it's going to be nicely equipped. When we reveal that shortly, just not too long into this year, people are going to see just how much value they're going to get for that starting price of $30,000, and I think that's when you're going to see that huge adoption, especially with the work we're doing to make sure that there's adequate charging. So I'm super excited to get those affordable EVs into the marketplace, because as you know, at General Motors, we really want to bring everybody in. And
we know that a big part of making this more affordable is, of course, improving the drivetrain, improving the batteries to the point where they are a little bit more economical to produce, and as a result, that brings down the cost of the car. How far along are you in GM's development of that technology and of that battery manufacturing, where you can have some confidence here that the price can come down meaningfully for consumers?
Well, we have that confidence. When you look at the previous generation battery technology we are using on the Bolt EV and EUV to what we're launching with Ultium, first with the Hummer, then with the Lyriq, then with the Silverado, the Equinox, and the Blazer, that's coming on our new generation of Ultium technology that is already 40% less expensive than what we have with the Bolt. And we believe by mid-decade that will be 60%. And we're continuing to work with a number of different technologies and with partners to make sure that we're going to have leading edge costs from a battery perspective, which allows us to have the portfolio. And then scale will help as well. And that's why the Ultium platform is so important, because whether it's the Equinox or the Hummer, we're taking it off the Ultium platform, and that's giving us tremendous scale, which also drives costs down.
Mary, as you said, that Silverado behind you there, for those of you watching on TV, was built from the ground up for an EV vehicle, and it was based on the Ultium platform, which allows you to do a lot of things flexibly that otherwise you might not be able to. But talk about the supply chain, because that's something we've all learned to talk a lot about over the last year or so. What have you done to ensure that you can have the supply chain for the volume of EVs that you want to produce and sell?
Well, we've made a number of announcements already. We have more coming, because I think we're going to be one of the most vertically integrated automakers when you look at what it takes to make sure we have all of the, whether it's the precious metals or the raw materials necessary to build EVs. And we're securing all that. We'll be continuing to make more announcements, and we want to make sure that we're never constrained by battery capacity. Also remind you that we already this year will begin manufacturing cells with our joint venture with LG in Ohio, and we have another plant underway in construction in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and more to follow. We'll have another announcement yet this month.
Mary, just spend a moment, if you would, on BrightDrop, something that maybe some of us haven't talked much about, which are these delivery vans. You made an announcement as well today. You have Walmart and you have FedEx. Tell us about BrightDrop and how important that is to GM's future.
Well, BrightDrop is incredibly important because it's a whole new growth opportunity for us. And if you remember, just a year ago, we announced BrightDrop. Within that same calendar year, at the end of last year, we started delivering BrightDrop vans to FedEx. I can tell you the drivers are telling us that's the vehicle that they want to drive. And so it's so important because it's a total growth opportunity. And I think it shows what General Motors can do of incubating a startup within the company. Travis Katz, our CEO, is a software entrepreneur. And so it's more than just the BrightDrop vehicle. It's the e-pallets that are allowing for the efficiency that FedEx is seeing, and then also the whole software ecosystem to make sure that we can manage the system, get the efficiencies, reduce congestion, and it's a complete system that is total growth for General Motors. So I couldn't be more excited and proud of what the team has accomplished.
Mary, I do want to talk about the management team there, specifically the departure of Dan Ammann last month. A lot of investors are basically backing this stock largely because of some of the moves that he made, of course, to help cut costs, but also, of course, the moves that he helped to make in building up that cruise division here. Who's running that division right now? Who's in charge?
Kyle Vogt, and let's remember, Kyle was the CEO up until 2019, so he's an incredibly talented and capable entrepreneur, and he was a co-founder of Cruise, and so it's in very capable hands right now. The entire management team is well intact, and the business plan that we have for Cruise has not changed at all.
For our audience on Bloomberg, on television, radio, and YouTube, we are speaking with Mary Barra, the chair and CEO of General Motors. We've been talking, Mary, about your Silverado announcement, your various EV announcements. That's for the future. Let's talk about the present just for a moment. And very specifically, where are you on Omicron? Is it affecting your production right now? It's affecting a lot of operations around the country.
Well, I'm incredibly proud of our manufacturing team and our warehouse teams. They are continuing to follow the safety protocols that we've used for almost 2 years now, and so we're able to produce vehicles safely. We work with our suppliers to make sure they're using the same safety protocols across the globe, and so far we're not seeing an impact, but we stand ready to work with our suppliers to work through any issues that we may have.
With regards to, have you had any issues or any continuing issues now with the chip shortage and some of the other supply chain issues that we know had at least slowed the production of some vehicles last year?
Well, yes, we saw significant impact with the semiconductor shortage last year. I would say every quarter it gets a little bit better, and so we're seeing a better Q1 than Q4, but we still think it's going to linger into the first half of this year, and we should be farther out of it by the end of this year. But we're not through it yet. There still is work to do, but we're also working strategically on not only what we need to do for the short term to secure supply, but also to the medium term to make sure that we're leveraging a strategy around semiconductors that never puts us in this type of position again.
Mary, you've said that your strategy overall is to change General Motors from a vehicle company into a platform country, really almost like an iPhone or something that we have. Where are you in that process, and particularly in convincing Wall Street that, in fact, you're not just a car company, you're really a future technology company?
Well, I think today was a very important day because people started to see the real products that are coming off of our first platform, which is Ultium. Again, whether it's an Equinox all the way to the Hummer, the BrightDrop, the Cadillac vehicles. So a number of vehicles that we shared all coming off of the Ultium platform that, by the way, we mentioned is not just for automobiles, but for other modes of transportation as well. And we have ongoing work and partnerships that we're doing in other spaces. The second platform is Ultifi, and that really is turning the vehicle into a software-defined vehicle. And today, Scott Miller, our head of the software-defined vehicle, shared the progress that we're making that really allows us to build on what we have with OnStar from a subscription, a services model, and really the whole concept is your vehicle can get better after you've purchased it with something that maybe didn't even exist the day you drove off the lot or it was delivered to your home. So important that we move to the software-defined vehicle because that gives us opportunity opportunity for a very different revenue or margin business that we're well positioned because of all of our knowledge with OnStar. And then if you look at the third area where I really believe Cruise will be the first to have large-scale ride-sharing goods movement, that will be a platform unto itself, and we announced that potentially as early as mid-decade we'll have personal autonomous vehicles on that network. So, you know, when you look at the different platforms the company has, I think today was a very big proof point day for everything that we have already, and it's already, you know, in motion or in production when we look at the Ultium platform. So very significant.